On December 26, 2024, a late-night traffic stop in Florida started out like any other routine pullover. A Dodge Ram pickup truck was flagged by the Florida Highway Patrol, but the man behind the wheel was not interested in pulling over quietly. The driver, later identified as 43-year-old Rasha Cadron Honors, had other ideas. What began as flashing blue lights on the highway would soon erupt into a high-stakes chase across the darkened roads.
We're good.
What starts as a routine traffic stop quickly spirals into something far more dangerous. Across highways, city streets, and rural back roads, drivers make split-second decisions that turn minor violations into full-scale police pursuits. Tonight, you'll witness high-speed chases, tactical takedowns, and moments where one wrong move could change everything. The question is, when the lights come on, why do some drivers choose to run?
I hit him. Right at 85, I'm going down too. Sending him back.
When the dust finally settled, Rasha Cadron Honors was pulled from the pickup and placed in handcuffs. He now faces the kind of charges that no one can outrun: felony fleeing and eluding reckless driving and endangering the public. It was another reminder that running from troopers never ends with victory. It ends with sirens, steel bracelets, and a court date you cannot dodge. On August 18, 2023, the Florida Turnpike was carrying the usual mix of late summer traffic. But one call to the Florida Highway Patrol changed everything. Fort Lauderdale police were chasing down a suspected armed carjacker, and he was speeding north in a white Kia sedan. Troopers in Palm Beach County were about to find out that this driver had no intention of slowing down.
We just made a U-turn back on God.
Can you advise, is the helicopter still 10-12?
Eventually, the driver, identified as Leas MacArthur Corker Jr., a career offender with a revoked Florida license, ran out of road and out of luck. He was charged with reckless driving, causing damage, aggravated fleeing, and driving while license permanently revoked. For a man who thought he could outrun the law, his sprint ended in cuffs, and a reminder that bad decisions have long tails. On the night of August 14, 2022, a Georgia State Patrol trooper spotted a black Hyundai Sonata weaving down Interstate 85. At first, the car flicked on a turn signal as if it was heading to the shoulder, playing the part of a driver ready to comply. But instead of stopping, the vehicle swerved back into traffic and gunned it. In a matter of seconds, a quiet highway stop had transformed into a chase at life or death speeds.
Unsuccessful first pit attempt. Unsuccessful first pit attempt.
As speeds continue to climb, officers are running out of safe options. The suspect's pace is so extreme that even deploying spike strips becomes nearly impossible. Watch how law enforcement rapidly adapts, coordinating positions while looking for a safe intervention point. Then everything escalates: vehicle contact damage patrol units and a suspect willing to risk it all. At these speeds, one mistake could end the chase in tragedy. Would you continue the pursuit or back off and wait for another opportunity?
Diamond Cooper's night ended in handcuffs while her passenger, Kiana D. Buckner, was released after being checked out at a hospital. Inside the car, troopers discovered a catalytic converter, an electric saw, and gloves, evidence pointing to more than just a reckless drive. It was a bold attempt to outrun responsibility, but all she managed to do was trade one highway for a jail cell. Just after 9 in the evening on September 24, 2023, the Arkansas State Police lit up their cruisers behind a suspicious BMW on Interstate 30. It wasn't the kind of car you could ignore. A 2006 model rolling with phony tags and a heavy foot on the accelerator. The man behind the wheel, 32-year-old Byron Brown, had no interest in pulling over. Within seconds, a simple traffic stop spiraled into a chase that would tear across Little Rock highways.
By the bridge, just before Scott Henderson.
The end came swiftly and without mercy. Byron Brown was ejected from the car and lost his life in the aftermath, leaving only twisted metal and unanswered questions. The discovery of a semi-automatic pistol inside the BMW hinted at deeper troubles, but the truth is clear: one reckless decision on the highway can erase every other choice in an instant. On May 14, 2022, Atlanta's highways became the backdrop for chaos. Smyrna Police Department called for backup when a Kia driver refused to stop, and the Georgia State Patrol quickly jumped in. The chase barreled south through the heart of the city, lights flashing and sirens cutting the night air. What should have been a routine stop was about to become a dangerous test of patience, skill, and raw determination.
Damn. Come on now. Gas coming up 707.
Both occupants of the Kia were pulled from the wreckage and taken into custody without further struggle. They were handed over to Smyrna Police Department, where felony fleeing and reckless driving charges were waiting. It was a stark reminder that outrunning blue lights in Atlanta is never a game you win. It is only a matter of how hard you crash before it ends. On November 29, 2024, Trooper Donnie Cheers of the Arkansas State Police spotted what should have been a routine violation: a gray sedan creeping by with a busted headlight and no proper license plate. The car was barely legal to be on the road, but that was only the beginning of the problems. When the trooper stepped out to make contact, the driver made a snap decision that turned a small ticket into a night of chaos. The driver was later identified as Mario Biggs, who was rushed to the hospital after his reckless run ended in disaster. His passenger, Andrika Dixon, was detained but released after questioning. With an uninsured, unregistered vehicle and a laundry list of reckless choices, Biggs walked away with injuries and a pile of charges that made a broken headlight look like the least of his worries. It was late afternoon on November 28, 2023, when Trooper Garrett Bird was rolling east on Interstate 40. His focus was on the Hernando de Soto Bridge, where other officers were tied up on a separate welfare call. But before he could even reach them, a flash of white in the passing lane pulled his eyes to the mirror. A Chevrolet Impala flying well over 90 miles per hour, carving through traffic like it owned the road. In an instant, the welfare call became secondary because this driver had just invited a new kind of trouble.
1037 mark. TBI on the bridge. TBI, TBI, TBI.
That driver was 36-year-old Michael Marquis McCall, and his poor decisions piled up quickly. A blood alcohol concentration well above the legal limit, an open beer, can still sloshing with liquid, no insurance, and not even wearing his seatbelt properly. He was hit with charges ranging from felony fleeing to DWI and reckless driving. In the end, the bridge became the dividing line. One side was freedom, the other was jail, and McCall crossed it in the worst possible way. On July the 12th, 2023, Interstate 40 in Arkansas became the stage for something far more chaotic than the usual evening traffic. A St. Francis County deputy had already locked onto two gray Teslas pushing way past the limit, and that call rippled quickly through law enforcement radios. As traffic thickened, an Arkansas State Police trooper tried to prepare a spike strip, only to realize the sheer speed of what was coming made that plan impossible. The chase was already writing its own rules, and the road ahead was about to prove it.
Yeah, wait. Alright, TBI, successful trooper, get it?
I got it. He's busting that tire.
TBI, TBI. Here's 144.
TBI, TBI. He hit 24's car. I rammed him.
The driver behind the wheel was later identified as Williams and his passenger as Taylor. Once the dust settled, officers recovered marijuana and digital scales, making it clear this trip was about more than just reckless driving. Williams racked up charges ranging from possession and reckless driving to aggravated assault and fleeing, while Taylor faced misdemeanor possession and paraphernalia charges. Turns out, their flashy Tesla wasn't even theirs. Williams admitted he borrowed it through a cousin's Turo rental because he wasn't old enough to rent it himself. A high-speed joyride to Dallas for a birthday sounds fun in theory, but this one ended with a criminal record instead of candles. Traffic on Interstate 40 was moving as usual on the night of July 10, 2025, until headlights appeared in the mirrors at a frightening pace. Behind the wheel of a Chevy Blazer was 43-year-old Dustin Kirkendall, a man whose judgment was clouded by more than just poor driving. Deputies tried to reel him in, but his weaving path turned every mile into a gamble. That gamble only grew riskier when Arkansas State Police rolled onto the scene.
Yeah.
Get your ass out! Out of the fucking car! Get out of the fucking car! On your face! Get on the fucking ground!
The end of the night left little mystery. Kirkendall was taken into custody after resisting every step of the way. Suspected drugs, alcohol, and reckless choices stacked his charges sky high, ensuring he would not be seeing freedom anytime soon. For all his bravado, his run ended not with escape, but with sirens cuffs and a sobering reality check. It was April 25th, 2024, when the quiet stretch of State Road 52 lit up with trouble. A white Nissan Altima blasted through the lanes, tearing past at more than twice the posted limit. The trooper watching traffic that day had seen plenty of speeders, but this one was something else entirely. By the time the patrol car pulled out, the race between good judgment and reckless defiance was already on.
Right. I don't know what he's trying to do. You signal 12 with you on the northbound engine bridge with my lead eyes.
The driver, later identified as DeMarco Lee Earls Jr., tried one last act of defiance fighting officers even as they pulled him from the car. Threats, kicks, even an attempt to bite it all ended the same way in cuffs. The discovery of cocaine and fentanyl in his car sealed the final chapter. Already on probation for burglary, Earls is now facing a mountain of charges and no bond. Running at 115 miles per hour may have felt bold in the moment, but it only guaranteed his road to prison just got a whole lot shorter. It was just after 4:40 in the afternoon on March 4th, 2024, when Trooper Shira thought he was about to conduct a routine stop. A white Dodge Charger dark windows cruising up Interstate 75. But the second those red and blue lights lit up, the driver made a choice that would turn a quiet stretch of pavement into a full-blown racetrack. By the time it was over, Cody and Williams were taken into custody. Troopers found drugs on the passenger and even more tucked inside the Charger, along with a loaded firearm. Cody's charges piled high: aggravated fleeing with damage, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and reckless driving causing property damage. For all the speed he tried to use to get away, in the end, Cody couldn't outrun the law or his own bad decisions. On a cool October day in 2022, the streets of Arkansas carried an unusual tension. A Dodge Challenger with expired tags seemed harmless enough to most, but not to the officers watching closely. With the FBI partnering alongside Arkansas State Police, the suspicion around this car was far more than what a simple tag violation would suggest. The driver had no idea that the weight of two agencies was about to fall squarely on his shoulders. The driver's bad gamble ended with cuffs instead of freedom. Possible charges stacked up quickly: felony fleeing, reckless driving, expired registration, and obstructing law enforcement. With the FBI looking over the case, federal charges weren't off the table either. In the end, that flashy Challenger didn't just lose the chase, it lost its driver to a jail cell. On December 3, 2022, the Florida night sky was calm, but the roads were about to erupt with flashing blue lights. What should have been a simple stop turned into something else entirely when one driver decided the rules no longer applied. With the press of a pedal, the chase was on, and every second added fuel to a situation spiraling out of control. Troopers knew this wasn't going to be a patient game. It was going to be fast and dangerous.
They're coming over, state's coming over, you're going to take Cranberry. We're going to be third. We're going up on Latin County. Check the college exit. Speed, pace. You stay.
You'll give me space. I'm trying to put it right here.
You're 90, white trapper. Okay, just take a hit. Hit. Stay knocked out. Get us medical. Where you at?
Watch your crossfire.
When the chase slammed to its conclusion, it wasn't the suspect in control anymore. The wall stopped what speed and stubbornness could not. Bird's precision closed the chapter, quickly proving once again why his reputation as a legend in pursuits isn't just a title, it's a fact. For this driver, running ended exactly the way it started, as a bad choice. April 26, 2024 was just another spring day in Arkansas until the radio call came through. A stolen vehicle was refusing to stop, tearing across Crittenden County with Arkansas State Police in hot pursuit. Behind the wheel of a patrol car was Trooper Donnie Cheers, already bracing for what was shaping up to be anything but routine. What began as a stolen car complaint was now shaping into a high-stakes chase across open country roads.
From traffic stops to stolen vehicles and armed suspects, every pursuit in this compilation highlights the same reality. Speed and desperation rarely lead to escape. Success comes from disciplined coordination, tactical decision-making, and officers balancing enforcement with public safety under intense pressure. If you enjoyed this pursuit breakdown, leave your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more real-world police chase analysis from around the world.
Roll over. He's on foot. He's on foot.
By the time the dust settled, the stolen vehicle was mangled in a field and its driver was face down in handcuffs. The charges practically wrote themselves, fleeing reckless driving possession of a stolen vehicle and more. Trooper Donnie Cheers and his fellow officers made sure this one didn't stretch any longer than it had to. It's a lesson that always rings true. The run might feel thrilling, but it never ends the way the driver hopes. It was the night of February 12th, 2025, when two men suspected of pulling off an armed robbery in Kentucky found themselves crossing into Indiana. They weren't just carrying suspicion on their shoulders, they were behind the wheel of a stolen Ford F-150. Law enforcement already had their eyes peeled, waiting for the slightest glimpse. When the pickup finally rolled into view, the calm of a small-town parking lot shattered in an instant.
Lights up ahead of us. Northbound approaching 600 set. Lights ahead. Stop sticks on 600 south. Stop sticks on 600 south. 50, 1050. Stop sticks on 600 south. Stop sticks on 600 south.
1050, 1050.
1050.
The driver, later identified as 45-year-old Daniel York of Evansville, Indiana, tried to bolt on foot, but his run ended quickly in the hands of Austin police. The passenger, 62-year-old Everett Klein of Wheelersburg, Ohio, never made it that far. He was arrested at the scene. Both men faced a stack of charges from stolen property to reckless driving stacked on top of their existing warrants. Running may have seemed like the bold choice at the time, but all it really did was buy them a longer list of problems. This might feel like the end, but it is just the first chapter in a much bigger lineup of wild pursuits. The next video is already queued up, and you do not want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for more.